Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Captain Logan Show. I am Captain Logan. It is 9 o'clock in the evening, and that is our new time for the Captain Logan Show. I was doing the show in the afternoon, in the mid-afternoon, because Danny, for some reason, that was like the best time for people. I still can't get my mind around that. It was the coolest thing. And for folks that are new to the show, I guess I'll tell the story real quick, because I'm sure we'll have some folks tonight that aren't usually here because it's several hours later than we used to do the show. But one day on a whim, I said, "Hey, I'm just gonna do." I used to do this every now and again. I was like, "I'll just do an impromptu live show and see if anybody shows up and chat with folks." And we had a lot of people. I think it was because I was coming off a hiatus and people hadn't seen me live in a while. And then we started doing it regularly every week, and we had a really good group every week for this thing. And so obviously, not being able to do that in the afternoon anymore, I didn't want to quit this show. I love doing these live things. I love the group that we get together here, and I wanted to keep doing the Q&A thing. So it is now 9 p.m. in the at night, in the evening, in the p.m. And I mean, it was the p.m. before, but the p.m., like after the sun goes down. My wife and I recently had a new baby. He is 2 weeks old now, and that makes it impossible, or will make it impossible for me to do this show in the afternoon. So down the road, it could go back to the afternoon, but that'll be, at least a couple of years, or maybe a year and a half anyway, or so. But anyway, I digress. I want to introduce, as always, my chat moderator and producer and logo creator extraordinaire, Danny Nixon.
Hey everybody, and thank you for the wonderful intro.
Absolutely, man. I gotta remember all the stuff that you do. I'm like, there's like a tier of it, We should make a T-shirt just for Danny Nixon, just all the Danny Nixon producer credits. We've already got a couple of super chats. We'll get to those here in just a second. The super chat is open as always. If there's something that you want to make sure that I absolutely see and talk about, you can give a little donation to us there in the super chat, and we sure appreciate that. It is really welcome, and you guys are wonderful for doing that. We always get quite a few of those every time, and I can't tell you how much we appreciate the support. Also, as always, we've got lots of cool things going on at Patreon. At the $10 tier right now, I'm starting the Geekvolution Creative Writing Workshop, which begins at the end of this month, and I still have 3 slots available there. So if there's something you're working on as far as story writing prose goes, or even film scripts and things like that, comic scripts, you are welcome, of course, to come to the class, and it's just going to be a once-a-month class. I'm going to critique your stories with a written critique and verbally, and we're going to have a workshop, and all of your peers there will also read your stuff and talk about it. And it's hopefully going to be a really great time. I've got 2 sections for that right now because we had so much interest in it. So I'm capping it off at 18. Again, still have 3 more slots for that. And as always, at just the $2 tier, you get access to early episodes of Superhero Rewind as soon as that show comes back with Daredevil in the hopefully not too distant future. Still working my way through that show, but hoping to have that out for you soon. And also early episodes of Kind of Crypto Freaks, and our twice monthly Patreon exclusive show, Geekvolution After Dark. Okay, let's start answering questions. Sometimes we do a theme show with the Captain Logan Show. Tonight, it's been a little while, so I thought I would just kind of do an open forum and chat about whatever you guys would like us to talk about. And so you can ask me things directly, and Danny will chime in a little bit as well. Throughout the show, Danny will be compiling your questions and ideas for topics, so feel free to ask things anytime you want to, and Danny will be keeping track of that stuff. Danny, let's go ahead and go through the super chats. There are already 3 or 4 of them. Thanks to John for the $1 with nothing at all super chat. He apparently doesn't want us to talk about anything. Danny, he just wanted his name said. John Early.
Well, I think the last time somebody left a $1 super chat, people in the chat were saying that $1 ones you can't ask a question with. So I guess it's like $2 and up.
Oh, is that the reason? Okay, cool. Good to know what the rules are. I've never actually tried to do one. I haven't actually watched a whole lot of live shows. Gone live for a lot of years, but I don't know how often I've watched live shows after the fact that I wished I had been around for. But anyway, well, thanks for that, John. Okay, what else have we got, Danny? What are the other super chats? And then let's just jump right in with all 4 of our collective feet.
Okay, the first super chat. Wow, we've already got another one from Fidelio. Will you ever cover early Swamp Thing, like the Lin Wine to Alan Moore run, or maybe even something like Kirby's New Gods stuff?
Yeah, it certainly could happen. More likely, to be perfectly honest with you, with a Patreon request than any other way. Except Alan Moore, I should go through at some point. Honestly, I don't know. This is the second time Swamp Thing has come up on the Captain Logan show. I've never been a big fan of that character, and just the that kind of monster stuff doesn't immediately appeal to me. But I have liked him in stuff. So yeah, it could happen at some point. It's gonna be low on my totem pole of stuff. Weirdly, I've reviewed the Swamp Thing movie, and that was early on, the first Swamp Thing movie. That was early on in Superhero Rewind. I don't know what possessed me, where I was just like, here's a superhero movie nobody talks about. I guess I'll review this week. I used to go for some just really weird, obscure picks like that. And now when I go for really obscure picks on my own without people requesting them, they tend to be things that are just that I know are really bad and would be fun to kind of scrape my heels across. So I'll kind of try them. But anyway, I digress. Yeah, that could happen. Certainly, especially the Alan Moore stuff. I read a Swamp Thing story with Superman once. That was an Alan Moore thing that I meant to review. That was in the, what is the name of that? Do you remember that book, Danny? It was a collection of Alan Moore superhero stories, and it was, what was it? Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow? Is that it?
I think so.
Yeah, I read that to review once, and I don't think I actually ended up getting around to reviewing it. I think I read that a couple of times, but anyway, so yeah, certainly could happen though. What else?
Okay, another super chat from Malik Myers. Thoughts on the new Venom trailer?
I don't know what to make of it, guys. Yeah, it's and I almost said we'll talk about that on the omnibus, but we're actually going to take an omnibus hiatus if you've not heard about that. So this would be a good time to ask questions about current news things. And the Captain Logan show will continue weekly, so I will get to weigh in a little bit on news stuff. Danny, I have such a wait and see attitude with that. I'm not impressed with anything I'm seeing from it so far. With the exception of maybe some effects stuff, like I don't hate what Venom looks like. I don't know why he looks like somebody sprayed Worcestershire sauce across across him. Like he's constantly sticky and dripping, and I don't totally know why we're doing that, but like he doesn't look bad. The blades were really cool, but Tom Hardy's performance, the voice he's affecting, still sounds really weird to me. I said that from the beginning, and we're hearing more of it, and I'm not sure what he's doing with that. I cringed at the kind of, for lack of a better way to put it, kind of potty humor, joke at the end of that trailer, and it seems like late 90s, early 2000s shock factor. It's got like Ghost Rider and I don't know, that kind of thing just written all over it. What do you think so far, Danny? Like,
it feels what we would have done before the MCU, but with like 2014 graphics and everything. Because I think Venom looks cool. It's pretty accurate-ish, except for the missing white logo. I think he looks fine, but that's about the only thing about it I think it's okay.
You can't do the white logo. I'm glad it's not there because that comes from Peter Parker. That comes from Venom being merged with Spider-Man, and I'm already worried that I'm already wondering how you make that interesting without his possessing Spider-Man in the first place and then getting Eddie Brock. I don't know why Eddie Brock is interesting without Peter Parker first, and so I'm hoping that they win us over on that. But just right away, I don't get the appeal of that idea, but you're right. The look of it is, again, very early 2000s Venom comics. Dan said it. Dan Torrey and I talked about this, and he said it watches like they didn't read anything but Lethal Protector, which is one of the funniest miniseries I've ever read. It's hysterical. Go back and watch my and Dan's review of that. We just could not stop laughing. We really enjoyed that despite itself, and but look-wise and the way it moves and the kind of like fusion of some of the kind of Carnage-y elements are a lot like the monthly that they did in the late 90s, early 2000s, or was it circa like 01? I didn't read a whole lot of that, but it looks like those covers. It looks like what I've read of those interiors, and but I don't know, the head's good. I still think it's really funny that he says Venom, but he doesn't have lips. You know, so he has no trouble making a V with just teeth. But that's fun. Do you agree with me, Danny? And maybe when I always say this, when we see it with the context of the film, I might like it better. His in scene making his face, like doing the half Eddie Brock face thing, seems kind of dumb to me.
Yeah. Why? If you're going to show, I forget what he says. Does he say "We are Venom" at that moment when he does the half face?
I forget what exactly he says, but yeah, it's just like. And Dan suggested like maybe he knows the guy and he's trying to reveal that he's Eddie Brock, but why wouldn't you just pull the face back and then put it back on? Like they did that for the posters and it looks good and I like that. And obviously there's an obvious inherent, you know, thematic thing to that. And he's got the two sides and he's two personalities forced together. Although it feels like Venom is just possessing him. Like so far from everything we've seen, it doesn't seem like a new personality created from the both of them, right? And
yeah, it feels like a generic.
The identity thing is cool, but sorry, what?
It feels like a kind of generic sci-fi possession type of plot so far from the trailers that I've seen. It just feels like
it feels really generic, where it's like, oh, this is the next stage in human evolution, and I don't know, it seems like the obvious way to go with it to me, but we'll see, man. I don't know, I'm not excited yet, and I love Venom. He's my favorite Spider-Man villain. A lot of people don't have that. A lot of people think I'm silly when I say that, but Venom is why I got into Spider-Man, so I've always had a soft spot for him.
Well, luckily for us, it's being made by Sony, so we'll get 4 more trailers before it comes out, so you can really get to know what you're going to think of this movie before you actually see it.
Real quick, I see a comment here. Dimitri J says, I am now a patron of Geekvolution according to the banner thing I'm seeing. I know that there's like a and do you mean like on Patreon or on YouTube? Because there's like a YouTube sponsorship thing where you can like become a sponsor for a channel and pay like regularly to support them. But I think that's a program that's only available to certain channels. I didn't think we had that, and you have to activate it. So I'm curious if that's what it is, or if you mean from Patreon. Because that's interesting, and I should look into it if that's actually a YouTube thing. Anyway,
he says it's on Patreon. He just signed up for it.
Oh, I see. Okay, but when he said banner thing, I thought he was looking at something here. Okay, well, I'm wasting time now.
Maybe all right, the banners I designed.
So some folks are getting impatient about how long I'm taking on these super chats, but I like to be thorough. Yes, we know there are more super chats, and we will handle them right this very minute. What else, Danny Nixon?
Okay, from Ross Hitchcock. How will James Gunn's firing affect Avengers 4? Because he's a producer on it.
That all depends on how much the Guardians are involved in it. Well, actually, no, it won't affect it at all, right? Because it's done.
I think you're right. I think it is done.
No, I mean, it is like
that's right. They were shooting.
It was at least all shot. I mean, there might still be some like editing tweaks and things that they're doing with it. But I saw an interview the week Infinity War came out. I mean, remember they shot them back to back, so like they're well ahead. And I saw an interview with the Russos right after Infinity War, or after that came out, maybe a week after, where they were talking about how they had it all shot and they had a loose cut, but it was too many hours long, and of course they had to cut it down. And there was a chance that it might be a 3-hour movie and all of that. Yeah, I doubt that his firing affects it that much, unless Disney decides that in cutting ties with Gunn, they want to really get away from the Guardians as a brand, and then if they're in a lot of it, they cut them back some. I don't really see that happening. What I read today is that they're not likely to hire him back, which I figured. And I know in the video we made about it, I said I thought maybe he would get hired back, but as time has gone on, that has seemed less and less likely. And they when they said that, they also said that they didn't, or at least the article said they didn't seem to be in a hurry to immediately replace him with Guardians 3, and that didn't even have a release date yet. So it could be that movie gets put off for a little while, but I still think that they're going to look at Guardians as a brand that they can easily sell without Gunn, and that they won't think that they really need him for. And that probably is true, at least with the first one after him. And then if it sucks, they could have trouble. But if people like it, they don't need James Gunn to sell those stories or to sell those movies. I don't know if they need him to continue with the flavor of comedy and storytelling that they had. I guess we'll see if somebody is able to duplicate that or take it in a naturally different direction. But as far as the actual question that you asked, I don't see it affecting that movie in any way.
Yeah, I don't either. It's a producer credit, and that could just mean he gave one idea, or it could mean he's like Stan Lee and they're just putting his name on there so they can put his name on there.
No, I wouldn't go that far, because we know that without writing credit, I'm pretty sure he didn't get a writing credit on Infinity War, that he did write some dialogue. Just because you write dialogue doesn't mean that we know that for sure. That some of that Guardian stuff he came in and helped with. But unless they decide to, because of all this, to excise anything he did in that movie, even if he worked directly on it, I don't think it's going to affect that movie. It's done already.
Yeah. It's a producer credit, so usually if it's not writer or director, it tends not to really affect the actual movie, like what we end up getting. I can't imagine him being off of that is going to throw a big wrench in their plans for whatever that movie is. So,
but again, it might have affected it if they weren't finished with it yet, regardless of what his credit is. Because again, he did work directly on the last one, and I think he only got a producer credit on that too. Sure. But that I don't know. I have to go back and look at. But I'm just saying they've already shot it. I don't see why that would necessarily do anything. Which means that if the Guardians are in very much of that movie, and by the way, I don't think they will be. I think that's going to be a more, maybe street level is not the right word, but I think it's going to be more about the not as spacey characters. But I guess we'll find out when we get there. But it could weirdly be the last time we see his effect at all on the MCU, which is interesting if you're able to kind of pull it out. So I guess we'll find out when we get there. What else, Danny?
Okay, we've actually got 2 more super chats.
My goodness, and it's already 20 after. Well, let's blow. I should never say blow through them because I'm not good at that. But what's the next one, Danny?
The next one is from Super Nerd. He says, "Have you read Mark Waid's Flash Run?" He says it's great.
I read a trade in that, but I haven't read the whole run, and I need to. I loved what I read of it. At one time, this is one of my big regrets from my eBay days. I bought out a big collection and had all of Mark Waid's Flash Run, and was not as familiar with creators and seminal runs and things as I am now, and also needed to break even on those comics, and so I had to make some sacrifices anyway, but I wouldn't have if I knew what I know now. Anyway, I had that whole run and I sold it. I also did the same thing. I probably told this story before, but I also did the same thing with Peter David's Supergirl and Peter David's Hulk. And there are a few things that I've lost that I kind of want to cry about. But yeah, I will do that at some point. But I wish I had the singles, just because, I mean, I can buy it in trade, but I wish I still had this. They had the singles.
Yeah, there's something about having the singles of something that's always cooler than having just a trade of it.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, that's not a character I collect. I'm getting to the point now where I'm going to start reading some newer things in trade and just buy the things that I collect real hard in the singles. And Flash isn't one of those characters, but there are exceptions I make for like seminal runs and stuff. So
okay, the next super chat is sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, not at all. Go ahead. You did not. I'm just making stupid faces at the camera.
From Malik Myers, thoughts on the trailer for Castlevania Season 2?
Malik, I'm sorry that you threw us a $5 super chat for that. I haven't seen that trailer yet.
Yeah, I saw it once and immediately forgot about it. So
I am a broken record on this, but I don't always watch trailers for things that I know I'm gonna see. I mean, I don't want to sound hypocritical. I do this for major superhero movies and stuff, but I don't always watch every trailer. Sometimes it's case by case. I kind of just make a judgment call on stuff. I'll watch the first trailer and I'll talk about it, and then sometimes I don't want to know anything else, and I don't feel the need to keep talking about it just because it's news and people want to hear what I have to say about a thing. I don't want to be clickbaity. And I have to kind of walk that line between what I want to do for myself and what I want to do for the channel and for the folks watching. So something like Castlevania, I don't necessarily watch a trailer for like the next season of every TV show I watch either. And that's essentially, I mean, obviously that's pretty much what that is, except it's one season broken up into 2 And I wish they had just been able to all come out at once, but whatever. But I don't really want to know anything, so I didn't even think to watch that one.
Yeah, I can't. I think that might be the first time since like Daredevil came out that I really watched a trailer for a Netflix specific show. Because I usually just catch it right when it comes out, and I can binge it all at once, so I don't feel the need to like take in all the stuff that comes out beforehand. Because I know, hey, when it comes out, I can watch all of it at one time. So I tend to avoid Netflix.
That's stuff. A good point. I mean, I'm not going to say that the trailers for Netflix things are like totally pointless because they get people to watch them that wouldn't watch them otherwise, obviously. But I guess, yeah, no, I can totally see that where it's like, it's not even a thing I have to go to the theater for. Like once it's all out, I don't even have to start thinking about it until it's available to look at. Like,
yeah, I don't have to think about it until I turn on Netflix and it automatically plays whatever trailer they want me to see.
Right, yeah, regardless of whether or not it's kid friendly and you have children in the room, or if your internet is running a little bit sluggish today and makes it impossible. I've done this rant anyway.
The next super chat from Mr. Roboto.
Yeah,
Peter and Mary Jane are back together. Maybe. Are you excited?
I haven't read the new Amazing yet. I read the Free Comic Book Day issue and wasn't real impressed with it, so I wasn't, like super eager to run off and get that. And once again, I've cut my pull list back, and I haven't been collecting Spider-Man for a long time. Like first run Amazing, I collect, but after that, I don't feel the need to have everything. So I will probably wait and read that in trade. So I don't have feelings about it until I see how he's doing it. Like, just on the principle of the thing, yeah, I would like to maybe see those characters back together, assuming that they're in my mind anyway, the same characters. So I kind of just need to read it and see how he's doing it. Dan Torrey really liked that first issue and was really excited about it. And he and I have been talking about maybe reviewing that down the road. But I kind of want to wait until the first few issues are out in trade. I've been kind of enjoying reading or reviewing more whole pieces lately than pieces of it, because I'm really tired of listening to myself say the phrase, "We'll see where this goes." I mean, you still have to do that with arcs of a run that keep going, but not as much as I read one issue. I mean, because the point of that is just to tell people whether or not they should run out and get it. And a lot more people are curious about my thoughts that have already read it. So I might as well wait until I have a little bit more to sink my teeth into. So that's how I feel about that right now. But
and I'm not reading any current Marvel, so I had no idea that they were even doing that storyline with them.
Yeah, he doesn't even like comics. He's I have to explain to him what they are. Like he forgets what a comic book even is. I'm like words and pictures, Danny. God.
Yeah, on the same page, that makes no sense though. It's like a children's book. Kidding. I love comics.
Danny buys comics. Danny, I love you because you'll just roll with me. Like, I don't make Danny sound like the most absurd, stupidest person, and he'll just roll. He's like, yeah, yep.
Self-depreciating humor is the best kind of humor.
You got to be the right personality type. I think you pull it off swimmingly. Backhanded compliment, you be the judge.
Thank you.
No, Danny's great.
Another super chat. Man, these 9 o'clock shows are just rolling in the super chats.
I know. Thanks, guys. You guys are wonderful.
From Pandora.
We will get to regular questions as soon as humanly possible.
Yeah, sorry for everyone who just asked a question and didn't pay. I feel bad for you now. Malik Myers got me into Teen Wolf, and I love it. It's surprisingly great. When are you finally going to do spoilers on that show, Cap?
So, there's with on the internet, there are vocal minorities for many things, and one of the major ones on Geekvolution is Teen Wolf. And whenever I bring this up to anybody that isn't the few people that really, really, really want me to talk more about Teen Wolf, because I did one review on that in an omnibus. People are always like, Teen Wolf. Like, really? People want you to talk about that show? Like, what? Why? But there are really passionate people about that show. And here's the thing. I had originally intended on doing regular reviews of that, going through at least the ones that Malik sent me, because he was nice enough to send them in the mail. And then we opened up requests, and they went crazy, and we got a lot more of them than I expected. It's a wonderful problem to have. And once again, everybody doing that, especially people doing that regularly. You guys are wonderful, and I don't even know what to say, because I never expected folks to want to donate regularly for a request like that. So I'm just inundated with those. So I have, with everything else, made it a thing where I will only review the first episode and the pilot in the next episode, sample it, and if I really, really like it, I might down the road go back to it of my own accord. Teen Wolf is weird because I announced it once that I would keep reviewing it. I have a few people that keep begging me to continue with it, and it's just been very, very difficult to make a priority. And I have to say, I liked it. I wasn't in a hurry to go back to it though. Like I didn't love it. I wasn't like super into it or anything. But I've waited long enough now. I'll have to go back and probably rewatch what I watched already to cover a season. I will try to sit down and binge that. I feel bad because I sort of promised I would at one point, and then I kind of had to change my policy on it. So on the one hand, I feel like I'm breaking a promise, and on the other hand, I don't want to set a precedent for I'll review an entire show when people request it. So I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is at some point I'm planning to try to sit down and binge it, but I don't want to promise on top of that first promise. Anyway, it's a whole thing. Yeah, I will do my best on it.
Fun fact: Cap hates both teens and wolves.
More teens though. I'm more cool with wolves. Really, I've had bad experiences, at least on television, with teens. Thing. And with that show, it's not even so much that, like I said, I like it. It's that I didn't feel like I had a whole lot of like really insightful things to say about it, which is not a prerequisite for me to talk about a thing. But talking about it regularly, I don't want to keep making the same points, So anyway, I'm gonna try to do that. What else have we got, Danny?
Okay, it's not a question, but it's a request from Kellen O'Rourke.
Yeah.
Hey Cap, make Danny say, "I am the immortal Iron Fist, protector of Kunlun, sworn enemy of the Hand."
Before I do that, because I'm happy to make Danny do many things, really. I don't want to say anything. It's got to be within reason, of course. But and also just remember, Danny's not in the same room as me, so it's harder to make him do things. But anyway, I want to know if the person asking that, was that a super chat?
No, it was just from Kellen O'Rourke, and it was at the beginning of the show, and I just wanted to get to
okay,
it,
great, okay. So I want to know if that is the same person. I don't think it is, because I recognize his name. I want to know if that's the same person that keeps leaving that comment on videos. Have you noticed this, Danny? There is someone that likes to go in our comments and leave that comment and say the "I am the immortal Iron Fist" thing. And sometimes we'll respond to other people's comments with it. Someone will say a thing and they'll respond to it. And sometimes they'll go hog wild and I'll be like, wow, I didn't expect that video to get 50 comments. And it's because like 12 of them are that guy. But I don't think that is Kellen O'Rourke. Anyway.
Kellen has really insightful things to say in that time. He just had something.
Danny, in your absolute best Danny Rand voice. Wait, are we doing this because your name is also Danny? Is that why we're doing this? Do it up, Danny. Let's hear it.
I haven't seen the show, so I don't even know how he says it. Now I gotta scroll back up and find the comment.
He hasn't even seen the show. Did you watch Luke Cage season 2?
Not yet.
Did you get a taste of him?
I haven't
and
seen.
You didn't watch Defenders?
No, I heard so many bad things about it. I was like, you know what? I'm skipping that one. So let me scroll back up. Okay.
Defenders is better, but I don't know if you'll feel that way having not watched Iron Fist.
I'm just skipping all of them, honestly. No, I'm winging it. I don't know how he actually says it, but I am the immortal Iron Fist, protector of Kunlun, sworn enemy of the Hand. I don't think that's actually how he says it.
Okay, so if you like a critique, I don't care if you do. I'm going to give you one. First of all, you've not seen the show, so he pronounces it Kunlun. I always thought it was Kunlun also, but he pronounced it Kunlun for some reason. And secondly, that was like 1970s William Shatner as Iron Fist.
Halfway through, I thought, you know what? I'll switch it up and do like a what's his name? Vince does a really good impression. I'm tripping on his name.
Of Christopher Walken?
Yes, Christopher Walken. I was thinking I'll do that, but I do a terrible Christopher Walken, and I was already halfway through, so I was like, you know what? Screw it.
See, I will never even attempt to get good at that impression because Vince does it so well. It would be like, even if I got good at it, People be like, it's terrible. Bring Vince in. Bring him in. Yeah, so anyway, okay. There's another super chat. We'll knock that off. We'll knock that off real fast.
Okay. The Everything Geek, aka Hawk Flame, new Buffy TV series. What do you want to see in it?
I don't know, because I don't really want it. Like, I don't have a problem with more Buffy, but I'm with Eric. We talked about this on the Omnibus last week. I don't know why it can't just be another Slayer in the same universe moving forward. And then there was this really cryptic kind of Damon Lindelof-y kind of response from the woman that's show running it, who was like, well, I could never replace the original Buffy show. There is only one Buffy, but as far as we know, it's a reboot. So you are making another Buffy. I don't really understand that statement. It's a weird statement to make, right? It's like, I guess it's like when somebody dies and you put somebody else in their place because you need someone, doing whatever that job was or whatever. Like, let's say you're like in Star Trek and you're on a starship and you have like a great first officer and you have to replace him, and the person says like, I can fill his shoes, but I could never replace him. Maybe that's what she's trying to say with that, but it was kind of a weird statement. And it was sort of like that Watchmen thing where it's like, where it's like, no, it's not a sequel, but all these things have happened. It's weirdly cryptic like that was. So I don't know. What I would have liked to see from that would be it's in the same universe and we move forward with a new Slayer, and maybe kill Buffy off. I mean, I guess you'd have to kill her off screen, but or not, because with the potentials at the end of that show, I guess we could have come up with some way that there's only one again, but you don't have to kill off the old Slayers in order to have that one. But anyway, as far as, I don't know, I'm blanking on what I would actually want from a reboot, because I don't want a reboot, so I don't really know. I guess if they have to do it, I would kind of want it to go its own way and not try to totally reinvent or not try to like be exactly what we had before. I think they're likely to create new characters and not go with the characters that were there already, and that might be the smart way to go with it. I'm not getting that from anything. My instinct tells me that's probably what they'll do. But I don't know. I'm glad that Whedon is kind of involved in it. So it might end up being great. I don't know, but I don't know. It's not a thing I want, so.
Yeah, and I'm not following that at all. Like, I saw the news that they were doing a reboot, and my initial thought was, oh, spinoff. And then I had to reread the title. I was like, oh, no, it's a reboot. Duh, because they're actually calling it Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And I just don't care about it.
And I'm convinced we're doing that just for the sake of brand recognition. Like, we can't keep going in the same universe because nobody will watch a show about some Slayer they've never heard of. But just call it, some other something the Vampire Slayer. Like,
yeah, I would think the Vampire Slayer is the catchy part of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but I don't know. The next question from Perpetual State of Entropy. Have you read the
I like that a lot. Yeah, that's great.
Have you read the relaunch of Justice League Dark? If you haven't, you should, because it is amazing.
Cool. Good to know. I haven't heard anything about that, so I will try to check it out.
Okay. Lone Wolf Jedi of Gotham. Cap, what are the top 3 fictional character crossovers you would like to see, and in what medium? Example, Indiana Jones / Batman comic, Super Mario / Spider-Man game, etc., etc.
Wow. That last one's nuts. So I blank on the crossover. I almost said crossword. I also blank on crosswords. I'm not great at crosswords. I blank on the crossover question a lot these days because we've had so many of them recently, especially in comics, that it's hard to immediately go to things that haven't already been done that I might have already wanted to see. So I have to kind of think about it for a minute. This is so obvious, but it's still weird that we haven't attempted some kind of Sonic Mario platformer yet. That like we've been able to put those characters together for so long, but we haven't attempted that. That might be a thing that those companies are just not willing to come together to do, even though they'll put those characters in other things. I guess there's multiple franchises that they're both in, but the main one is the Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, which is not a thing I expected to be a long-running franchise, but they've continued making those. But anyway, Danny, can you think of anything really cool right off that we haven't done yet? Because a lot of the things that I'll say this real quick. A lot of things that come to my mind are things that we've done in comics that I would like to see in the big screen, or that we've attempted but we've done badly. Like there is no good reason that Alien and Predator shouldn't happen at some point and be awesome. It's preposterous that we have two of those movies and they're terrible. There's also no good reason that you couldn't do Alien, Predator, and RoboCop, which we've done in the comics, and I'd like to see that. And I think it would be neat, especially if we had stuck with the weird dark Snyder aesthetic with DC. We're getting away from that, but if we kept with that stuff and people actually liked it and it was better written and whatever, it might have been nice. Or maybe even just do a one-off thing, since we're doing Elseworlds type stories. I'd even love to see Batman or Superman cross with some of those Dark Horse type characters, like we've done some really cool comics with before. A Batman Alien movie would be, or a Batman Predator movie would be amazing. What comes to your mind immediately, Danny?
Things that have already been done, or expanding on things that were supposed to be done, like the big, like Freddy versus Jason versus Michael Myers versus Pinhead. That's
like a shared universe. Yeah,
like the Universal monsters with slasher characters, which I think would be really cool. But that's the only one I can think of off the top of my head that hasn't been done in some form.
Yeah, in some form.
Yeah. Another super chat from Malik Myers. Fun fact, the Russian gangster that Kingpin decapitates with a car door, spoilers, also played a blind werewolf in the 3rd season of Teen Wolf.
Oh, good to know. I'm looking forward to see, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because when I get there, I don't know if I would immediately even recognize him. No, I know I probably would. He's got some screen time. That's is that guy named Anatoly, or is that the other Russian guy? I think that's what it is. But yeah,
I'm going back to season 1, so I can't remember names off the top of my head. I'm terrible with names.
Yeah, well, and that's such an involved show, and there's a lot of characters' names to keep track of. RoboCop Ghost in the Shell, somebody mentioned. That's a really interesting notion for a crossover. I really want to see the DC Marvel thing happen again at some point. I really wish those companies could come together and do that. It's a lot harder with parent companies being, the way they are. But
Disney and Warner Brothers, I guess Time Warner, I guess AT&T are never going to do any kind of crossover thing on any level as big as like the multi-billion-dollar superhero franchises, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
The next question, Kellen O'Rourke asks, Cap, I'm working on a film review / documentary on The Last Jedi. I was wondering, what sources should I use? What would be good ones you recommend and ones that you don't?
Sources, as far as, what are we talking about?
That was the only thing I saw in the question.
Huh? Yeah. I mean, does he just mean, so he's doing a review and analysis on Last Jedi, and he just wants to know what sources to use? I mean, when I do, man, I feel like there's something from this about this question I must be missing, because you don't necessarily need anything but the film when you're doing your own analysis on a thing. I mean, like I like to know a little bit of background and stuff, just because with my particular series with Rewind, just because I'm looking at movies in the grander scheme of the culture, but I also try to make sure that if I can help it, it doesn't inform what people say about like their intent making a thing, because a lot of creators, a lot of directors and writers tend to talk a little bit, I think, too much about what their work is about, as opposed to just how they made the thing. I like pieces to really stand on their own. So if you're doing a literary analysis, like you want to really make it you and the piece as much as you can, and then try to separate that, I think, from, and not everybody agrees with this, but this is how I've always felt about it, and passionately, by the way, that you separate that from what creators are saying they meant in a thing, or what is there that there might not even be enough evidence for. Some people like to say, well, this director said this is in the movie, so it's in the movie. Nah, piece stands on its own, and it also can have kind of a life of its own, and it can say things that a person didn't even intend when they made the thing in the first place. So anyway, if you're doing some kind of like cultural look at the thing and how it's influencing people and stuff, obviously there's all kinds of sources you can look at, and I would just say, like, talk to people, empirical evidence. But when you're And that's not really a sort of thing that I would do until a thing was quite a bit older. But that's the kind of academia in me. But anyway, that's a tough. I don't know. That's a tough question to answer. But beyond just the special features on the Blu-ray, I don't really know what to say.
We've got another super chat. Random Review says, "I'd also love to see you discuss Teen Wolf."
Man, I need to start making a tally. Like, how many people actually really want this? I'm trying to figure out if there really is a large contingency, or if it is this tiny vocal minority. Because, like I said, I'll bring it up to people, and they're like, "Why would you review that? Like, you're not even really a horror guy." Now, I get why Malik wanted me to look at it, or at least I think I do. I think this was. I don't want to put words in Malik's mouth, but I think part of the MO there was it's better Smallville, because it is. I mean, Teen Wolf is in a lot of ways what Smallville should have been, and it very much plays like a superhero show, even though it's technically not really a superhero show. And that, have you ever seen that at all, Danny?
None.
Yeah, see, that's most people that I've talked to. But anyway, and I'm not laughing at the people who really like that show. It's just I'm trying to figure out how many people actually are interested in this. But yeah, so but there's another one. Somebody says there's an echo.
Yeah, I was hearing an echo when I talked on your end.
Oh, weird. Wonder what's causing that. Okay, hold on. Let me unplug and plug back in. Everybody, give me a second. Bear with me. Okay, how's that?
Is anybody hearing an echo?
Is that any better?
Yeah, I'm not hearing anything.
Because you said you're not really, you weren't either. Well, some folks let us know in the comments if we're still, yeah. Okay. And Alex Barron just wrote, "It's a spooky go." Someone else said the echo's not that bad. I just don't know why there's an echo. There's only two of us who are wearing headphones. What is causing that?
Yeah, Blue Dragon 5 says it's me.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe you should do the same thing I just did then. Just riveting viewing. Watching Danny unplug and plug in. I guess we'll find out, because I wasn't hearing it either. I had no problem with it. Okay. Can I answer a couple things I'm seeing right now? Would you?
Yeah, go ahead. It's your show.
Danny, thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Danny keeps begging me to change the name of the show because he is he's a little bit full of himself, and he wishes it was the Danny Nixon show.
Just a
okay.
little bit.
Calabillionth Nosedive, what are you doing for Geekvolution's 10th anniversary? I've not decided yet. So far, we have a logo for it. Danny has made us a 10th anniversary logo that we've not unveiled yet, but that will show up in a lot of videos during the 10th. We will have some sort of really cool festivities. In a perfect world, I would do some kind of a convention or a get-together at a con for as many people as could make it. I don't know if I can get that together fast enough. Time's just gotten away from me, so I don't know if we're going to do that. We might do some kind of big, cool live party for it, and I'll probably do some programming, just some cool specials, and just maybe stuff people have been begging me for a long time, or maybe some cool, looking back on the history of the channel stuff. But anyway, I'm not totally sure yet. But I will certainly take suggestions from folks. So anyway, but that's the thing I wanted to mention. What else, Danny? Throw out the questions.
Okay, from Christopher Miller. Do you think we will ever see Batman and Robin together on the big screen or the small screen? Probably in live action, I think, is his intent for the question.
Yeah, right, because in the comics, every now and again that you get
well,
that.
Also, cartoon shows would be more likely than an animated or a live action show, I would imagine. Yeah,
but lately Batman's been more of a guest star kind of character, right? Because he doesn't have his own show. We just canceled Justice League Action. We've been getting farther away lately from Batman. We're still selling his universe really hard, but I think the BVS thing has Warner's kind of rethinking the popularity of Batman, which is a mistake. I don't think Batman has really gotten that much less popular over that. I think people just didn't like that version of it, and I'm hoping that and also, Gotham wasn't the huge success I think Fox expected it to, but it's because it's Gotham. So yeah, I think down the road, yeah, I think right now we're in this kind of phase of Batman without Batman. Do you agree with that, Danny?
Yeah, it's really weird to not have a Batman show or at least one brand of Batman out in the conscious that people are really being inundated with, because we're not really getting a whole lot of Batman from the DCEU. We got another.
Oh man, we're getting a lot of donations for Teen Wolf, and I really appreciate you guys. Vampire Diaries, $5 super chat. Please do Teen Wolf spoiler cast for the channel anniversary. Well, there's another one. Although that is a user that I knew was asking for that.
Teen Wolf.
Yeah.
Oh man.
You know that joke I made about Seaquest month? Do you remember that?
Yes,
well, you remember that. You had to make the logo for it. You're probably one of 5 people on the planet that's ever had to trace that logo, right?
I bet I'm only the second person. The person who made the logo, and then me, because
that's probably right. Yeah, depending on how the guy made the logo for the one issue of the comic book that existed. And I own it. I found it. But there is one issue while that show was on, and it's from a comic company I've never heard of. And you get to the end of it, and not that I read it, but you flip to the back of it. And it advertises the next issue, and it never came out. So that guy might have also had to trace the logo, but he also might have just been able to copy and paste it. I don't know. Somehow. Anyway, what were we talking? Oh, the reason I brought that up is because Adam, from Sharknado, Adam.
Jeffrey Patron says, "Watch Teen Wolf, JK, I mean Legion, forever."
Forever, yeah. And Legion, I do definitely also want to get back to. And no offense to anybody, I want to get back to Legion more than I want to get back to Teen Wolf, but I will watch more Teen Wolf. Adam from Treknado comes over every week, and we do movie night some weeks, and we do commentaries for the channel on other weeks. And he every time he comes over, very serious, super deadpan, says, "Now, Cap, remember, we are doing Seaquest month." Adam really wants to talk about Seaquest, and that is one of a couple of jokes from the April Fool's Day video of made up shows that might actually turn into a show. The other one I'm kicking around is, I wouldn't do it as long as I said in that, but another one I'm kicking around is doing commentaries on Batman '89 every day for a week. I am kicking that one around.
Oh man, I really want you to do it 365 days in a row. I'm
not going to do it for an entire year. I think that was only a month too. I think that was 30 days.
No, it was Batman 1989 365.
Oh, it was 365. If I did it, I would cut it off in a week. I do 7 days of it. And probably by myself, just to see if I could fill the dead air. Also, because I don't think I could get other people to do that with me. It might have to be a different person every time. But then that might be too easy on me. That might be too much of a cop-out. Just sit back and let them talk.
If you're willing to do it, I will do it 7 days.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I will record 7 commentaries with you. We'd have to vary times up depending on when we're both free, but I would do it.
Yeah, it might not be every day for a week, but we could do 7 of them. We'll talk about it. We'll talk after the show. I can't believe someone has volunteered to do that. It'll be interesting if anyone volunteers to watch it. That's the big question. I still don't think even number 7 ends up being the video that gets 0 views. I'm still trying to figure out what that video is. But
the next live stream marathon should be watching that film 7 times in a row.
Crazy. Noah says we need Eric Holden's Neighborhood. People really want. A bunch of people are talking about Eric Holden's Neighborhood.
I'm really proud of the logo I did for that, because
I am too.
Eric's head coming off of Mr. Rogers' body is terrifying and amazing. I love it.
I was in public on my phone when I saw that.
Perfect.
And it was really hard not. Malik Myers, another $2 super chat. This is a joke that he keeps doing on the live shows that we have for Patreon every month. He'll come in and he says, "Wakanda sometimes."
And I am working on that shirt.
Are you really? Yeah, that's great. We need that shirt. Jurassic House was the big one, and then Wakanda sometimes. That's exciting.
And the Easter Phoenix.
The Easter Phoenix. Yeah. I need to buy all those shirts and start wearing them on the channel. I think we would sell more if I was actually wearing them.
I know. I almost wore my Geeks Not Nerd shirt. Cheap plug for the Redbubble.
Do it. Do it up.
Yeah.
Plug it.
Redbubble.com/people/Captain Logan, CaptainLogan. Boom. Watch that not be the correct URL.
Yeah, I'm always afraid I'll mess it up, so I don't actually come around. I'm just like Redbubble. Look up Captain Logan. That's how you find it. But yeah, a whole bunch of Danny Nixon's logos, including some things that we haven't actually used for shows. Although one of those is Read or We're All Gonna Die, which was originally a thing we did just because it's an amusing quote from, help me out,
Monster Squad?
Monster Squad, yeah. And then I ended up deciding to change the name of Read a Book to that because I just love it so much.
I really love that logo. I love it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. All right, Danny.
Next question.
We got about a little less than 10 minutes left, so we'll knock out as many more as we can. You guys are wonderful. You guys are lovely. Thanks so much for being here tonight. Folks, if you came in late and I didn't get a chance to say thanks for being here, thanks for being here, whether you're watching this live or after the fact. And now for the final 10 minutes of the Captain Logan Show. Go ahead, sir.
Golden Eagle 407 V1. Thoughts on Iron Fist 2 being only 10 episodes?
That is cool because it sets the precedent that they don't always have to be 13 if they don't have that much of that I don't want to say that much of a story, that long of a story to tell. So that's, I don't want to say that's exciting. I mean, it's weird to be like, yay, fewer episodes of a thing if, it's a thing that you end up actually really liking. But it could be for deliberate story reasons, and that's great. I think it's more likely to be because they want to spread the money that they're spending on that show across fewer episodes, but that is also potentially a thing to be really excited about. I wonder if because that movie was that show was so disliked, they've got less money to work with. But also, we know that it did really well, at least initially. But I don't know if it dropped off real hard. Like if maybe playback, like after that. A lot of the other shows have continued to perform really well, and that hasn't. As far as I know, we still don't get viewing numbers for Netflix, so it's impossible. It's impossible to know how exactly those shows are doing.
Yeah, the optimist in me is saying they're using a show that wasn't very well critically received to test the waters of how people would respond to getting less episodes.
Yeah,
and that way, if this is successful for them, they'll be less stringent on their episode count for each season going forward, and creators will have the ability to tell the story however they want with however many episodes they want within reason. But the cynic in me is saying they just didn't want to pay for those extra 3 episodes.
Oh, that's a depressing comment. Jedi of Gotham. Reader, we're all going to be 99.9% of America. Wow. It's not that bad. More people read than that. But
yeah, it's like 99.8%. Come on.
really optimistic here on Geekvolution. Okay, throw out some more questions.
Jacob Shepard. Hey, Cap, what are your thoughts on Rebecca Romaine cast as #1 on Star Trek Discovery?
Whoa, I didn't know about this. I didn't know about that. That's fascinating. I think I had seen something about her being in that show, but I didn't realize she was playing #1. Wow, that's cool. That's all I have to say, because I don't like that show, and I hope it gets better. But I have a hard time getting excited about anything with that show, but I like her. And I'm excited about that character being on that show. It's just, it's weird and a little bit bittersweet for me because *1 originally was reported to be the main character of the series. We thought that's who Michael Burnham ended up being. And then it turned out that wasn't the case. Now, I don't know how rumory that was or if things changed, or I don't think it probably ever really was, but at one point we were led to believe that. And it's cool that they're doing that. That makes me wonder how much of the cast from The Cage they're recasting, how much of that ship we're going to see. Because at the end of, spoiler alert for Discovery, but at the end of last episode, they hilariously and really weirdly and kind of irritatedly run into the Enterprise. And of course, it's 10 years earlier than TOS, so it's the the Cage Crew, and it'll be interesting to see what their Pike is like and so, and that'll now be the third person to play Pike, or is it April? Is it Pike? That at that point, I'm a little bit rusty on my Star Trek history right now. I think it's Pike. I don't think it's April, but I can't remember right now. Anyway, so I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see what that's like.
Okay. Ryder asked, do you think New Mutants and Dark Phoenix will be scrapped from Fox's lineup?
No, we know for sure they're not. It's been reported that those are still going to come out, and in fact, the last thing I read is that they might come out on IMAX. But was that what I read? I don't want to speak to anything because it was a headline I saw and I didn't actually get a chance to read the article. So
I saw the same thing about something with IMAX's release schedule, including them on it, which is good news for those things going forward, and that they're not getting stuck in like the developmental cycle of just we keep pushing it off and keep pushing off the release date. So it seems like those two at least are very likely to happen.
I wonder if with reshoots with Apocalypse, unless they're, because I'm fuzzy on this, are they completely finished reshooting Apocalypse? Are they still doing that? I don't even know right now.
Apocalypse was already released, wasn't it?
Oh, did I say Apocalypse? I'm sorry, I meant Dark Phoenix.
It'd be really weird if they were doing reshoots on.
Wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be weird? No, I meant Dark Phoenix. Yeah, sorry, this is just a slip.
I have no idea. I'm not following anything.
Okay, so what would be interesting is if they reshot something for the end of that movie to give it finality and try to completely end that universe if they are indeed folding X-Men completely in the MCU, which seems like that's definitely at this point what they're going to do. So it would be weird if those movies came out and then we just unceremoniously moved on to the next iteration of X-Men, given that we've had a nearly 20-year history with that franchise, even though the continuity is all over the place, but it is still tied all the way back to Bryan Singer's X-Men. And it would be really strange if we had no kind of finale to offer that. And I mean, like, I've kind of written that side of X-Men movies off, so I'm not going to be that upset about it unless the movie's great. And then New Mutants, I want to be excited about, but there have been rumors that that's been like a real bad situation. But I guess we'll see what it's like. What it ends up being, I have no idea. A lot of people are afraid it's going to be kind of a fan-tastic thing again. But
yeah, New Mutants is the one that they originally shot with the intention of it being a little bit more lighthearted, and then went back and did reshoots to make it more horror thing. Right? Yeah. Like with all things comic book movies lately, I've got a wait and see attitude. So
yep. I want to be excited about that. I think it's really cool to do a horror movie with X-Men.
Yeah, I agree.
That initial trailer got me excited.
Yeah. Malik Myers with another super chat. Thoughts on Anne Rice's Vampire Chronicles series landing at Hulu?
That's another thing that I don't know what I'm going to have to say about it until we see it. That's another thing that was supposed to be a Brian Fuller vehicle, and he left it. So we'll see if that's another kind of thing like Discovery, where he leaves it and whoever takes over doesn't really have a vision for it, or if it lands in good hands. I would be more excited if it was still Fuller. But he's been having lately a really hard time staying on things, and it seems like kind of getting along with people. So I don't know what's going on with him, but
yeah, that news broke the day after I went back and rewatched Interview with a Vampire.
Oh, that'd be cool.
And then the news came up. I was like, wow. What's the name?
That's another thing that he wanted to make forever. That Star Trek is the thing he wanted to do forever, and that's I think part of the reason it got that's the crossover. I think that's one of the reasons it got greenlit, if I'm not mistaken, is that he was on board for doing it, and then he ended up leaving it. More super chats.
Mr. Roboto asks, at what age will you show the kids Man of Steel?
Jason has seen Man of Steel, although it's been a while. I don't know if he remembers it. But that's one of those borderline movies where I get why some people might not want their young kids to see it. I don't have the BVS thing with it. Like, I still haven't had my kids watch BVS. But Man of Steel is, I don't know, it's a borderline thing. Yeah.
Dan Torrey says the first trailer for the New Mutants trailer looked really cool. Is that the one y'all got tricked into reviewing a fake trailer for?
No, that was Dark Phoenix.
Okay.
That was Dark Phoenix. No. He's talking about that. Hi, Dan. He's talking about the same thing I was talking about.
Oh, never mind. I didn't realize there was a trailer out for New Mutants already.
Oh, you never saw that? No, months ago. Yeah.
Oh, I'm way behind.
They did a teaser when they thought it was still coming out this year. Yeah.
Man, I thought he was making a joke about the fake trailer y'all had to watch. That's
No,
why I
which
brought that up.
is the thing he would do.
Yeah, that's what. It felt in character for the other Dan because he has no feelings.
That he has. Was that Dan Torrey?
Torrey GNR, right?
Yeah. Hi, Dan.
Hi, Dan.
Dan does have no feelings, but this time he was not using his cold and emotionless demeanor to make fun of me.
He was just using cold and emotionless text.
We should probably expect that to happen sometime in the next couple of minutes if he's still with us. We're gonna leave here in just a couple of minutes. Let's knock these super chats out and see if the super chats don't keep us here like they did last time. Go ahead. You know, I last show I felt like a guy at a store trying to close the doors and people kept coming in, you know, or like shopping, but not like the kind of jerk face people that just keep looking around but they don't actually purchase anything. No, there were people like lined up with stuff. We just couldn't get out, you know. Anyway.
The Vampire Diaries.
Not that I'm having a great time with you guys. Not that I'm in a huge hurry to leave or anything. This is an hour show, and I don't want to take up all of Danny's time. I want to take up most of Danny's time, but not all of Danny's time.
He leaves me 1 hour a day to sleep. It's amazing.
It's a very restful sleep, though, because the work that we're doing is so fulfilling, so rewarding.
Exactly. I'm just sitting at a computer all day, typing out logos, typing out thumbnails. Boom. 23 hours up, I can sleep for an hour. Boom, get right back to it.
because that's how graphic design works.
I just type at a computer, make logos, done.
Well, you know, like, I wouldn't tell people that anyone could do it, Danny.
The Vampire Diaries ask, finally getting super chats. When are you doing a review?
Look, I don't know about Teen Wolf, okay? I'm gonna try, but sorry, go ahead.
When are you doing a rewind on Suicide Squad? Not a Teen Wolf question.
That will be probably a Patreon goal for next year. Yeah, or possibly toward the end of this year. No, because I'm not going to do it before I do BVS, and BVS won't happen this year. I'll say that right now. BVS will not happen this year. It could be next year as a Patreon goal, but I'm not gonna do that yet. I am kicking around making it a somewhat loftier Patreon goal. And having kind of a drive with it, but I don't really want to do it this year, especially as backed up as I am with other rewinds. After I get to Daredevil, I'm gonna try to get back to putting them out regularly like I was right before Daredevil. Again, everybody just bear with me. I know some folks are really worried that suddenly Rewind's on a long hiatus and I'll never get back to it again, or it won't be regular like it was right before that. My wife and I just had a baby, and I'm working on a 13-hour thing to... Not the rewind. The rewind will not be 13 hours long, but a 13-hour season of television, and it takes a long time to get through. And I've been doing that for a few weeks now, so it's also kind of daunting because it's been a while now since I looked at the beginning of it, and so I'm getting a little flustered where I'm like, oh, am I even prepared? Am I even going to be prepared when I finish to really do this? I'm not going to go back and rewatch all of it. I'm just going to do my best, guys. I'm going to do my level best with it. How many more super chats do we have?
I think 2. Mr. Roboto says, Captain Thunder, will you see? I'm trying to think if he means will you see Captain Thunder, and I have no idea what Captain Thunder
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, sorry, I'm completely lost on what that is.
Madman says I should make a 13-hour rewind. I just thought that was a funny comment. I don't really have anything else to say.
Yeah, and I was trying to find the next super chat.
Kelly, okay. It's like Danny's just waiting for me to say something like really insightful or amusing, and I don't have anything, Danny. I'm just
very insightful stuff. What's wrong with you? No.
Thanks for all the kind words, guys. A lot of people in the comments tell me to just take my time and do my best with it, and I really appreciate that. Kelly Jones, take it easy, Cap. Go be a dad. Do dad things. Doing lots of dad things right now. I'm making sure to give my kids all the attention that I think they need. and other nice comments. Thanks, guys. Okay. The other super chat
from Kelly VSAK. Multiple questions.
What are
your thoughts on weed? Has Eric made you read Berserk? How dark can something be and still be entertaining? R.I.P. Jon Schnepp.
Wow. Okay, let's work backwards. Who is Jon Schnepp?
Jon Schnepp is the guy who made Death of Superman Lives What Happened. He did some directing for Metalocalypse. A couple other things. Yeah, he had stroke, I want to say. He was in the hospital for a bit.
That's sad. So I have been thinking about doing a rewind project about Superman Lives and reviewing that documentary, as well as talking a little bit about the Kevin Smith script. And I might try to move that up further in the shortlist now, because I didn't know about that. So yeah, that's really sad, man. And I hate myself for this. I still haven't watched that movie. When it came out, it was like a $20 rental, and I was just waiting for it to go down, and I just haven't gotten around to buying it now. For
$25, you get the movie, you get multiple director's commentary tracks, you get a hour-long featurette, and you get multiple short features. I've got it. It's a great deal for $25, I think.
Yeah, I'll do that. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Obviously, that has to go in my collection. Like, that's a no-brainer. That's going back here. But yeah, that's the thing, is like, I didn't want to spend $20 to rent a thing knowing I would get a hard copy later, because I buy that stuff. So that's a major piece of history now.
Yeah. Working backwards on it, maybe you want to say this for a rewind, but your thoughts on weed.
Save it for a rewind.
Did I say rewind? I meant After Dark. Yeah, Cap, we want your superhero
rewind.
Why
am I talking about that? Like, I gotta find what is the perfect superhero film in which to discuss weed in a. Why am I talking about this right now? I don't know. These are not. That is not generally a topic that I would discuss. I have no opinion on weed. It is. I guess I don't mind saying I've never tried it. I have known people who do. I don't have an opinion one way or the other, really. I don't really have an opinion on that subject. I guess, this is a thing I should that I probably should say for After Dark. I guess it's not even really controversial to say this anymore, though, Danny. I don't really. I guess I have to say I'm on the side of legalizing. I guess I don't mind saying that.
Well, you're with like 70-something% of the country. Maybe it's not that high. Maybe it's like 60%.
It's big. So. It is a big percentage. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's what that person was asking. Man, people just put me in a corner in the show, and then I find myself talking about things I don't usually. And then I'm like, how far do I want to go? Like, that's not a thing I really have a problem with being legal. Mr. Roboto gives us another $2 super chat. Do you think
I missed that one?
Well, just now happened. Okay. We'll solve the Captain Marvel issue. What is the Captain Marvel issue?
Shazam and Captain Marvel having the same name, even though Shazam is not being called Captain Marvel anymore, and the director has come out and said they're not doing anything with Captain Marvel in the Shazam movie. So,
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, how is it an issue now? I guess it's been, whether you like it or not, it's been a result. It's a resolved issue, right?
I would think so. They haven't used Captain Marvel since the beginning of New 52.
Yeah, I mean, wasn't it kind of a legal thing?
They couldn't advertise anything with Captain Marvel. They could still use the name in the book, but for brand continuity and not wanting to muddle things up, they wanted to change it.
The only way they would go back to it, I think, is if Marvel Studios stopped being a thing.
Which will never happen.
Yeah. Not in the foreseeable future, no.
In the year 2099, we will finally get a DC-made Captain Marvel movie.
But yeah, I'm back real quick because people are talking about the weed thing. I'm not endorsing drug use. I'm just saying that it seems like, man, I don't talk about this kind of stuff. It seems like there are we've got more problems because of the that being illegal than we would have if it wasn't. That's all I'm saying. That's not my advocating for or against it. Tyler Parker, Malik got me into Teen Wolf 2. I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's actually really good. More advocates for Teen Wolf.
We need to rename this live show the Teen Wolf special. Just because every 5 minutes we seem to be talking about Teen Wolf.
Hey, we really should. It's annoying some people. Yeah. So let's do real fast. We are late, but I feel like this has been real super hat. Putting on my super hat. Super chat heavy. Which is, once again, we sure appreciate it, and thanks a bunch. But I want to make sure that we're not shafting the folks that were leaving comments before. Obviously, we can never get to anything like all of them, but let's very briefly try to answer a couple more real fast, Danny. Can we do it? Can we make that happen?
Absolutely. Mike says, would you want to see an interpretation of Kraven's Last Hunt on the big screen, and do you think the MCU could do a great adaptation?
Yeah, Kraven's Last Hunt is my favorite. Is one of my favorite Spider-Man stories. It's wonderful. I would like to see that adapted at some point. It would be a hard thing to do with this Spider-Man, unless we let him grow up and get there. But yeah, I mean. I've talked to Eric about this. He doesn't seem to think that it's a thing that you can really adapt very, very easily with MCU. I kind of agree with that, but I still would like to see it somehow in some form. I don't know if it would be too watered down because that is a really dark, heavy story, and I don't know if you can really get away with that or if they'll feel like they can get away with it. But I mean, now that we've had Black Panther, which is kind of my litmus test for this now, which is a PG-13 movie that is perfectly great for families, that also has a very Netflix Marvel kind of villain in Killmonger. Maybe such a thing is more possible than it once was. But I think the best way to adapt that right now is probably animated. I think the next thing Sony should think about doing is that. That's my answer. It took a while to get there, but that's my answer. So somebody should do that next.
Callie V asked to clarify on his previous super chat, says, what about entertainment that delves into depravity? What are your thoughts on entertainment that delves into depravity and can it be entertaining?
That's once again just these really heavy super chats we get right at the end of the show after the show is should already be over. I don't know in a short amount of time what I even want to say about that, Danny.
You can make anything work. You just have to make it work.
Yeah, that's my answer to everything. But yes, of course, I don't think any subject matter should be off the table for anything. I've always said that. I mean, my go-to often is Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, which I think is a brilliant film, and I think is a worthwhile thing to exist. It's not entertaining in what we usually mean when we say that. It's the same thing with something like Apocalypse Now. Those movies are there to show you something that is happening in the world, in the culture, and bring things to people's attention and get you in the minds of people that unfortunately do really horrible things, and help us to understand them as much as we can understand them, not to make those characters sympathetic in a horribly cynical way where we're supposed to enjoy their horrifying exploits or anything, but to kind of showcase something and help us to understand a really awful, seedy thing going on in the culture. So yeah, I think entertainment is important, not just to make us feel better. I guess is kind of my answer, and we need to be bold enough to tackle anything and everything that is going on in our fiction. And so it's not always going to be entertainment at that point. Art exists for different reasons.
Daniel Davis says Schindler's List is the ultimate example, and that's a really good point.
Sure. Yep.
And one I go to as far as recent stuff is a horror movie called Hereditary. I think that was what it was. It's not entertaining in the traditional sense of I was entertained. It's really good. It's really dark, and if I had known some stuff going into that, I probably wouldn't have seen it. And I don't have a weak stomach when it comes to horror. But
wow.
Yeah, it's
Nightcrawler, I think, is also an example.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Even though that's
not
also
a good one, but it's a good movie. It's definitely, yeah. Okay, so do we have any more super chats that I missed?
Let's make sure. Noah wants to know if I want to buy some death sticks. I do not want to buy some death sticks.
I think I'm caught up.
Think so. I think we are caught up. Okay, one more real quick.
Okay, I had the perfect question. Cap, what from William Parcell? Cap, what is the best film marketing campaign and why?
Wow, that's a really good question. I like that a lot. Like of all time. I mean, like I feel like I can only answer that for my lifetime, right? Like I feel like you have to have lived it to really appreciate it. Although there are movies that had to have had great marketing campaigns, right? Like I didn't really experience Jaws's, but it must have been amazing. And Star Wars is interesting because they didn't expect that movie to perform, and then it became a thing that we sold, really hard to people. But Danny, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Because I'm between a few.
Well, for me, my first thought was Deadpool because it's a very recent one, but Magpie brought up a great one, which is the Blair Witch Project.
Oh, I wouldn't have thought of that right off the top of my head.
Yeah, being on the show, my head's always in that comic book space, but that was a great.
That's the thing is I was trying to think of some things outside of comics also, but Batman '89 is up there.
The Cloverfield.
Yeah, Cloverfield was amazing. I like these ad campaigns that either. You don't have any idea what it is that you're looking at initially, but there's something about it that's really provocative, or where you don't find out about it until like days before it comes out, and Cloverfield has done both of those.
Yeah,
I think Watchmen's was really good. I've always said that. It wasn't as successful as they were hoping it was, but that I think is one of the greatest teasers of all time.
Some people are saying The Dark Knight.
Dark Knight had it easy, though, I think. I mean, like...
Yeah. When you're a sequel coming off of a well-reviewed first movie that was meant to be a
I don't think that's why, though, because I think a lot of people missed Begins, and a lot of people didn't even realize that Dark Knight was a sequel. I don't agree with that. I don't think that's why. I think it's just... Because I look back on the advertising for that movie, and I don't know that it was brilliant, that it was... I mean, it was good, but a lot of people looked at the trailer and were afraid that was going to be Joker the movie. Like a lot of people that I talked to weren't sure about that movie with the advertising. It was a lot of the success of that obviously was Ledger and people just being really curious to see what that would be like. And the posthumous thing certainly helped it, but I think that movie still would have been a huge smash if he had lived. I really do. I don't think that performed because he died. But I think a lot of it was just the initial images of the Joker, and that was kind of thought provoking, and it kind of did the '89 thing again, where it was like finally a serious version of this, right? It wasn't the first serious version, but for a lot of people, it felt that way.
Connor Nielsen brings up Psycho. I wasn't old enough to know anything about the marketing campaign for it, but I trust Connor's opinion on. Yes, definitely, sure. But I mean, like I can only speak to things from my own lifetime, I think. Yeah, but I'll trust Connor's opinion because he's like the movie guru, even though he hasn't seen Godfather 2. Sorry, Connor.
Lone Wolf Jedi says we all know the Amazing Spider-Man 2 had the best marketing. Yeah, it's infamous. It's absolutely infamous.
It certainly had one of the more expensive marketing campaigns. Didn't they put almost as much into the marketing as they did actually making the film, or was it like close enough to it that the marketing campaign messed with how much money they were able to profit off of it? Man. Oh, here's another.
Oh, you know what? Madman does make a great point though with Dark Knight, because I'm just thinking about trailers. It had a really viral marketing campaign and all that stuff with like the I Believe in Harvey Dent posters and all that. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right about that. Yep, definitely.
Sorry, Connor. It was Terminator 2. He hasn't seen, not Godfather Part 2. I don't know why I was thinking Godfather Part 2. Sorry about that.
There was something else that I was really surprised that Connor hadn't seen that we were talking about the other day, but I don't want to just throw him under the bus.
Yeah, I did that enough already. I'm sorry, Connor. We've got another.
You should be.
I should be. Something about us Dans, we just don't have feelings.
Okay, one more super chat, and then we're going to bid y'all farewell.
Yeah, Mr. Roboto says Venom solo versus Joker solo, which movie can work?
Well, I mean, it's kind of unfair to really say because we know things about Venom, right? Like we've seen a trailer, we have a sense maybe of what they're doing with that movie. I think once again, it's really hard for me not to just say you can make anything work. I think it's actually weirdly, if you don't go the Agent Venom or some kind of superhero direction with Venom, I actually think a Joker solo movie is maybe easier. Am I wrong about this? Is that a crazy thing to say? Is that a crazy person thing to say?
Depending on what we mean by solo, as in not having their main antagonist. Because I can't really see a traditional Joker solo movie being done without Batman. And at that point, you're just making a Batman movie that's focusing on Joker, I think, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, if we're not talking about the prequel movie, or not the prequel, but the origin movie, if we're just talking like Leto's Joker or that kind of thing, yeah, no, Venom is probably easier than that. I don't know, following a deranged lunatic for an entire movie, unless again it's supposed to be a character study of a psychopath, and we're not supposed to actually really be enjoying ourselves. I don't know. I mean, again, I loved Heath Ledger's Joker, but I don't know if I would have wanted to follow him without Batman for an entire film.
Yeah, that's
like even a brilliant one. I don't know. Venom is at least, and again, kind of weird things to compare, right? Because one of these is an anti-hero, and one of these people is a straight up villain, right?
Right, the psychotic villain, not even one that's supposed to have a thought like a motivation or anything. It's just pure chaos, I guess, if depending on what your interpretation.
There are also like 35 different ways to do that character.
True, and there's going to be 3 at once here soon in comic book form.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right. You're talking about. I thought you meant if all those movies got made. I'm like, yeah, you can't expect all those things to actually get made. But no, you're right, and it will be interesting to see how Jeff Johns compares those different versions. I hope that's good.
Yeah.
But I wish we were a little bit more careful about separating the difference between a character being really popular and they're making sense to tell a story about on their own. I mean, you have to be really thoughtful once you do that if you're going to go there. But the conventional Hollywood wisdom is that character is really popular, so spin them off. And that's kind of why Harley Quinn has turned into the Deadpool of the DC universe, really. You know, and that's a character that I think is easier to tell a story on her own than the Joker is, certainly.
Yeah, and we've already got the blueprint for the really good Harley Quinn kind of solo movie if you wanted to go the Mad Love route.
Well, that's true. Absolutely. But she hasn't been exactly that character for a long, long time.
No, and that breaks my heart because I love her characterization in the animated series. I don't want to get sad this late at night about talking about Harley Quinn.
Danny is one of the most passionate people I've ever known about Batman animated series, and people are very passionate about that show.
Oh man, I'm so happy the Blu-ray's coming out, and I'm so happy it's got Mask of the Phantasm and Sub-Zero in the pack. That makes me so happy.
Yeah, I mean, that's really cool. It's just, I already own those things. Like, unless they put, more special features and things, I don't know why I have to have that.
They're putting a lot of special features, which makes me happy, but I've held off on buying any physical copies of anything in the animated series because...
I already have those. I don't have a really cool set though. I just have the old, the old boxes. So I probably will break down and do that, especially if it's got new features. I'll have to.
Yeah, the features seem pretty cool. They're doing a new documentary on the creation of Batman the Animated Series, which I'm not too thrilled about because we've heard everyone say the exact same thing over and over again in every.
Now you just get to say them. Now you get to just hear them say it like 20 years older.
Yeah, it was such a groundbreaking show. It was so dark, and it did everything on black paper. And I've heard all this.
We love Fleischer and
yep. I can't do a good Conroy voice, but if I could, I'd just kind of recite one of his go-to speeches when talking about the influence of that show.
I should mention we are at the end of August going to be bringing Bat Chat back. Danny is going to come on with me and help me out with that show, and Dan's News also probably, which is why we're holding off on it, because Dan's News said by the end of August he should be able to come back for that show. So it will either be the 3 of us or 2 of us kind of alternating, but we are bringing that show back and we're going to finish the series, which I'm stoked about, and I know Danny's wanted to talk about that show
I'm
for a long time. So
I'm personally really excited to be on that, as well as just the Bat Chat coming back, because I love the Bat Chats. I love them.
Danny is the reason I finally resurrected it and got it a few months ago when we were doing that again, and got Dan's News to come back for it, because he made a logo for it and made a bunch of thumbnails, and kind of implying that show must come back. So I was like, well, you did all this work. I probably should make some more of these shows.
You make it sound like I pressured you. All I did is I showed you my idea for the thumbnails to go back and put on the past videos. I wasn't trying to nudge of, hey, bring the show back.
Did you not make the newer ones? Did you only make the past ones?
I just made the one thumbnail to show you my idea for it. And then after you said you were bringing it back, I went ahead and did all the thumbnails.
Well, it was exciting. It looked really good. I had to make more of them. And I really wanted to bring it back anyway. I just I just wasn't sure what co-host to do it with. Well, anyways, this was a wonderful show. Thanks everybody. We went a little bit long, but it doesn't matter. Mr. Romano, $2 super chat. How soon? Batman versus werewolf commentary. What even is that?
I thought there was only the Batman versus Dracula.
I don't know what he's talking about. So never until you, unless it turns out that's a thing, and I didn't know I don't know what that is.
I don't either.
Wow, I feel bad when people give a super chats and that I can't answer a question, but I don't know what that means.
The only werewolf Batman thing I'm aware of is Moon of the Wolf, which is the thing where the guy is transformed chemically into the werewolf.
Yes,
they adapt in Batman the Animated Series.
Professor Zoom, we will, as we always do, tackle Death of Superman when it's actually on disc. I don't watch those digital, so people are saying it's good, which is exciting because I didn't think it looked great. So
yeah, I was surprised to hear positive reviews about that one.
Yeah. Anyway, everybody, thanks a bunch for watching. We sure appreciate it. We will see you again next Wednesday night. This is great. Really, really glad to know that this is maybe an okay time slot for folks. And leave your comments. Excited to read them in the meantime. And if you didn't get your question answered, save it for next time, and we will do our level best to get to it. Danny, thank you for hanging out with me and for going over time today. But lots of really great, insightful questions, and it was just really difficult to say goodbye.
And the super chats helped.
Exactly. You guys are great. Thank you so much. I am Captain Logan.
And I'm Danny.
We will see you next time.